The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Crime News Talk. Today is April 30th, 2025. We are live to tape on episode 837, and today, time-traveling hackers. And signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomenon. Basil, I was looking at our title today and just looking at the subtitle and looking at the last few titles, and every title we have, actually. And the world is just absolutely insane. And so the only way to really deal with it is to have some more dad jokes, a couple more dad jokes. I think it'll summarize the sentiment. You either laugh or cry, you know.
The concept of an emergent phenomenon being a pattern revealing itself out of broad, disparate, unrelated events and trends going on around the world. And I think as of lately, the emergent phenomenon being dad jokes at the beginning of the show, I think might be like more insightful than any other possible, identification.
Analysis of the biggest stories.
So
sure.
I support you. Let's go.
Okay, I got a couple here. They're Nephilim themed. Okay, so who's throwing out Nephilim themed dad jokes out there?
Nobody.
I don't see many. So let's go. All right, I'm going to warm you up with this first one. I tried to make friends with Nephilim at church, but he's always looking down at me.
Hey, because Nephilim are tall. They're giants in the Bible. Okay, all right.
It's all right. All right. Might need some work, but it's not cringe enough, but it's not good enough, you know?
Maybe it's something with like shaking hands with 6 fingers.
Something like that. I think you're going in the right direction. Okay, one more. Why don't demons ever get therapy?
Why?
Because they're stuck in giant denial.
Hey there. Hey now. Ba-da-cha.
Bringing deep theology in the
biblical
form of dad
jokes. That's good. It's not fringe anymore, folks. Pay attention. Well, Gonz, you know what is not a joke? It's the cyber pandemic.
Oh my goodness. Is it happening so quickly?
The COVID-19 crisis would be seen as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber pandemic.
Top headline of the show, top headline of the day, coming from Fox News, mirrored by MSN here. FBI warns of time-traveling hackers.
FBI?
Yes.
A lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay?
Unindicted co-conspirators.
Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, the Trump administration, the FBI has turned their sights from, trying to take down Trump or lock away tourists in Washington, D.C., or whatever it is that they do. Kash Patel, he's steered the organization towards what's really important, and that's time-traveling hackers. Let's see what it says here. Cyber criminals always find new ways to scam you, whether it's mimicking a government agency, creating a fake website, or delivering malware disguised as a software update. Just when you think you've seen it all, they come up with a new trick. Those pesky cyber criminals. This time, the FBI has issued an alert. Hackers are using a, quote, time-traveling technique to bypass your device's security measures. No, we're not talking about actual time travel.
Oh,
boo!
What? Where's
clickbait?
How do you do? You can't. Okay. All right.
Boo! Parenthetical. Though, wouldn't that be something? This is a sophisticated cyber attack where hackers manipulate a system's internal clock to sneak past security defenses. The concept of time-traveling hackers refers not to literal time travel.
Oh, why? Just keep bringing the pain. Why?
Get out of here.
Why are we still reading this article?
But to a sophisticated cyber attack technique where hackers manipulate a system's internal clock to bypass security measures. Thank you. You said that already.
Repeated that.
This attack is reportedly tied to the Medusa ransomware gang.
Oh, Medusa. Yeah,
in this type of attack, hackers exploit expired security certificates by altering the system date on a targeted device to a time when those certificates were still valid.
Okay.
Hey,
sneaky. Yeah.
A little bit of time travel. Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
For example, a security certificate that expired in, say, 2020 could be made usable again if the system's clock is set back to 2019. This allows malicious software designed with these outdated certificates to be recognized as legitimate by the system, effectively, quote, traveling back in time from a security perspective.
Okay, so all digital systems are time traversable.
This really is a reference back to Y2K. The Y2K bug, they called it, which was really just a date setting in computers at the time. I mean, that was apocalyptic. So the
FBI being the people who published the document, the Megiddo files that discussed all the fringe, or not even fringe, I guess extremist religious groups apocalyptic groups that would emerge from ultimately Y2K. So
the FBI is very on top of the apocalypse. They know what's going on. Now, this did worry me a little bit because, Gons, we have a strong working relationship with one another. We've learned each other's quirks over now almost 13 years of podcasting together. And one of the fun quirks is, sometimes, I'm not going to say who, it could be either one of us. Sometimes the computer clock is wrong. But in this case, luckily, I'm glad to see that it's not a matter of hours or minutes.
Usually it's
years.
Less than an
They're
hour.
about
yeah,
years.
when it's years, we'll have to have a conversation.
If
but
you're
I think
looking
right now we're good.
If you're looking at your computer clock and it's showing 2019 as the year, you should be worried about that. That should be, I mean, to some degree, I could see some people legitimately sort of asking themselves, like, what? Is it 2019? Did I time travel?
You didn't get enough sleep. Yeah.
It wouldn't be my first thought, but it would be on the list of top 10 thoughts. Now, of course, this headline here is a bit clickbaity, a bit fun, of course, time travel. Let's take a step back, look at the meta-narratives that we're looking at in the media and in culture right now. This one strikes a couple of chords. Number one is the time traveling aspect. We did recently have the White House website post a quote from the technology secretary about how United States has technology to bend space and time and to eliminate distance and all these things. There was recently a bit of a splash as far as like, oh, okay, I guess we have time travel as a government, or whatever. And the other side of it is the cyber pandemic with the blackouts. Now, when we reported on Monday about the blackouts in Europe, we mainly focused on Spain, but it was France, Spain, and Portugal all together going through this massive, fairly unexplained blackout. Now, they came out immediately with the explanation about the rare atmospheric phenomenon, but a lot of people aren't buying it. There's a contingency of people who are pretty convinced that this was a little bit more of a cyber attack in regards to the war in Iran. Iran famously has pretty sophisticated relationships with hacker groups all over the world. And the blackout in Europe came, I think, either mere hours or days after a little political kerfuffle with Europe,
Uh-oh, did we lose you? I think we lost Basil for a second. They got him. He was speaking too much truth into the microphone, and they got him. Yeah, so he's talking a little bit about...
Am I back?
Oh, you're back. There you are.
Oh, sorry about that. Where did I lose you?
I don't know.
Europe? Did you hear the Europe
Sure.
bit?
Yeah, you were talking a little bit about Europe. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the blackouts in Europe. Some people think it may have been a cyber attack from Iran, considering
Right, yes.
some war in Iran comments being made, sent as a warning. However, there's also the topic of Klaus Schwab stepping down from the World Economic Forum, unexplained, on the same day when the Pope steps down. A big moment.
The Pope dies, you mean?
Changing, stepping down from life, stepping down from living on Earth.
Sure.
Yes, the Pope dying, Klaus Schwab steps down, and Klaus Schwab is famously the guy who said the COVID-19 crisis will pale in comparison to a major cyber pandemic, talking about how it will end the world. In fact, recent reports have been injecting back into the sort of mainstream consciousness the idea that if America's power grids went down, there would be 94% of people in the country would die in 30 days, which seems a little high, but hey,
yeah, it's
you need power.
Plus when was that data? Maybe, the population at 2002 or something, 2003, that may be the case.
Yeah, it's possible.
Maybe 2025.
Whenever it is. But that's kind of again, whether it's true or not, we're talking about the social engineering aspect of it.
Right.
On top of that, so here you go. I mean, I could totally imagine a world in which Klaus Schwab, is kind of forced to step down, and he steps down and he goes, "Oh, I will show you. You'll be begging me to come back to World Economic Forum. Launch the cyber attack." And then, who knows? That's a bit of the Hollywood movie version.
I like this movie. Can I pre-buy tickets to this movie? This is.
I mean, the
Klaus movie is being written as we speak. Yeah.
Straight up Lex Luthor.
I know.
And lastly, now we didn't cover this on the show, I don't believe, but I covered it on a Basil's Bunker or a Canary Cry Clubhouse or something. In the past month or so, where the European Union leadership came out with a fairly comical video explaining and instructing European citizens to put together their bug out bag.
We did that on this show. We did
their emergency bag. Yeah. And as they played that silly video and said, get your water, get your this, get your that. Be prepared for 3 days of an emergency, and then boom, here we are next month, experiencing the actual emergency.
Yep.
So this
and the tone of that video was very comical, humorous. Like, hey, we're just having fun. Oh, look at
don't panic, but do
it. Don't panic, but definitely do it. Yeah, interesting.
Now, one last thing, a little bit of the weirder side as we are pointing out the trends, the forces, the meta-narratives, the social engineering. You might think, Basil, you're really connecting a lot of different things here. I don't know. Well, if that doesn't convince you, Gons, why don't you tell us how many followers Fox News has on MSN as we speak?
Fox News on MSN?
It's up there at the top of your screen.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. 3.3 million followers.
3.3, 33, baby. The message is received. The messaging number has been dropped.
Oh, they made this video at the top. Now I understand why but sometimes these articles, they embed a video at the top, especially places like Fox News or other news agencies. But the video doesn't actually have anything to do with the article. It's just one of these adjacent or similar topic video from the past. This video that they have at the top is 3 minutes and 35 seconds long. So that makes sense now. I understand why they embedded that thing.
Yeah.
Well, you got the 3.3 at least in there, so.
Now, it goes on to give you some tips and tricks to protect yourself against scams and hackers, and that's all very important. And just in case anybody wanted to know, number one is use strong antivirus software, where you can go find their picks of the best.
This is just big anti-software trying to take your dollar.
Antivirus software. Yes, you've got some native ads here at the end. So you've got the classic coming in, amping up the fear, connecting it to a whole bunch of other scary things happening in the world, and then dropping a nice list of products that I'm sure Fox News will get some affiliate sponsorship from. So there you go. Time traveling hackers. Keep an eye on that computer date and time there for you. But also keep an eye out. We must always be vigilant and aware that every second of every day, especially if you're on the computer, there is a army of narrative crafting magicians who spend every second of every day not just giving you the news, but spinning a web of illusion to create your reality for you. But not here. Not here, folks, because we got nothing to sell you. We're on the value for value model, and I think we should take a second to thank our executive producers, Gons.
Let's do it.
Executive producers.
That's right. You know this. We're on the value for value model. We don't take any money from corporations, commies, cartels, governments, NGOs, no platform partnerships. And you know what all that means is that there's no corporate or government incentives involved in what's going on here. You might not think it's a big deal. You might not have even heard my hundreds of rants about the occult principles and roots of advertising, social engineering, psychoanalysis, and crowd control that goes to the deepest levels of, black budget government programs, but I will not share that with you now. The point is that there is no corporation making the decision whether this show can exist or not through the power of their dollar. Mammon has no power here, folks. And on the other hand, it just doesn't seem like a nice thing to do, to try to gather up as much of your time, your attention, say whatever we got to say just to get more viewers so that we can package you up and sell you off for our own personal gain. And I don't mean any of that metaphorically either. Instead, it's the value for value model. It's very simple. We try our best, and we've been trying for a very long time, and we'll keep trying to create as much value as humanly possible for free to you. And the understanding that our producers have, our listeners, the long times, the new guys, is that if you get any value in your life, if this show, this community, whatever, brings any value to your life, you have the understanding that it is a cycle of value, and the show will not exist for much longer without the participation of our listeners and producers in the value for value model. Now, you might think, hey, there's uncertainty, I'm broke, blah, blah, blah. We get it. We get it.
Everyone's got problems.
The value for value model is specifically takes this into account because it's not just about money. It's about time, talent, or treasure. So in your life, if you've got any time, if you've got any talent, or if you've got any treasure, there are ways to participate. Join us in what we believe God has called us to do here, not just Gons and I, but every single Canarian, and participate in keeping the show going, building the community, and that includes the culture as well. So lots of ways to do it. You can learn all about it over at canarycry.support.
Button. That button is so sticky. I don't know why it's so sticky. Speaking of Sam, who'd made that jingle, we got some cool stuff in the pipeline. Just a little teaser there for everybody.
That's right.
Yeah.
The executive producers, they are people who come in, they support any individual episode with $100 or more. That is why they're executive producers. That is why we thank them here at the top. And you should join us in thanking them, because these are the people making this show possible for every single one of us today. Are you ready, Gons?
Ready.
Starting out with executive producer Sir Alex Protocol V2, Baron of the Brian Protocol.
Where'd you find this?
Bankroll out the bankroll, I spend.
Thank you.
Coming
Sir
in
Alex Protocol
for $100 and 33 cents.
Illuminatus!
And he's on a 388 episode producer streak and a 41 episode executive producer streak. almost.
You said 388?
Yeah, 388.
388 on 41 executive. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
I like it. I see it as a big clock. It's just one big clock. We are close to alignment.
Time traveling.
Close to alignment.
All right, next up, we've got executive producer Arnie W. coming in.
Where'd you find this?
Arnie W., thank you.
Arnie W., longtime producer, the creator of Flippy Don't Take My Girl, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Comes in for a nice round number, which means we will not disclose it. Just a little tip for anybody thinking of producing the show financially. If you come in for a nice round number, that's you communicating to us. Please don't share the amount. If you don't mind us sharing the amount, put something funky on there. 33 cents, 77 cents, 1, 2, 3, 4. Have some fun with the number, and that's you telling us that you don't mind us disclosing it on the show. So Arnie W. comes in with a nice round number and sent in another masterwork of music. He calls it Hey Hosanna. He sent it in for the Canary Cry mixtape at the end of the show. Do you want to play a couple seconds of that?
Yeah, here it is.
Your cross prevails, not caught from a club to...
It's punchy. You got to save it to the end.
It's punchy. We'll play that at the end of the show for the Canary Cry mixtape. Thank you, big-time executive producer Arnie W.
Thank you, Arnie W.
Next up, we got producer Jill B.
Jill B.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you very much, executive producer Jill, coming in for a nice round number. And a note here that says, sending this to honor a special man, Pastor Larry, who passed away recently. He pastored our Baptist-leaning community church, but was always slipping in supernatural truths. He was a wonderful speaker, shepherd, and friend, now home with Jesus.
Oh,
well, that's very special, Jill. Thank you so much for executive producing the show. And sounds like Pastor Larry was a good guy. It's always sad to lose a member of a church family like that, but also exciting to think that he has received his reward.
Well done, thou good and faithful servant.
There you go. Thank you, Jill B. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Next up, we've got executive producer Sarah P.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Sarah P.
Yeah, Sarah P. comes in for $111.
And 11 in 11.
11.
There you go. I did not see a note from Sarah P., but if you had one, I will keep an eye out for it. We can always catch up on that if it comes in. Next up, we've got executive producer Sir Tristan Knight of the Garden.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Sir Tristan.
Thank you very much, Sir Tristan Knight of the Garden. Comes in for $111.33.
Oh, it's breaking.
11.
Am I breaking or are you breaking?
No, I'm breaking. I'm having problems.
Okay.
That's fine. We're good.
I am loading up the Proton Mail here just to see if Sir Tristan sent a note. Sometimes he sends it over to the Proton Mail. I did not see one in the Gmail either, but I think we had Sir Tristan on the producer list. So producers, remember, we are praying for Sir Tristan Knight of the Garden. Thank you for the executive producership.
Yep, thank you.
Now, last but not least, Gons, we had an incredibly special moment here. Of course, we had a bit of a conversation a little bit last episode. This actually came in before that. I always wonder what is it that inspires people to produce the show, and to this day, besides the Holy Spirit, I have no idea what it is. But we do have
it's not us for sure.
It's not us, but we do have executive producer. A big thank you to executive producer Jason.
Jason,
where'd you find this?
Now, I did not.
Thank you, producer Jason.
Yeah, producer Jason sent in a note here. Just said from Jason. God bless. Well, God bless you, Jason, because executive producer Jason came in for a whopping generous $3,220. 322
Oh
times
my goodness.
100. 322. The skull and bones.
There's no
times
button.
100.
There's no button for it.
There's
It's
no
broken the jingle board. It's
the jingle
what to
board
do.
has smoke coming out of it. It doesn't know what to do.
There's nothing that can be done.
But thank
Wow,
you
amazing.
so
Oh,
much.
my
Very
goodness.
generous. Totally, obviously an answer to prayer. And, it's just so exciting to see when God blesses his people and then his people bless God's people. And it's this beautiful, I don't know, it's honestly supernaturally inspiring sort of cycle of blessing that we just love to see. And this changes a lot for us this month, producer Jason. So thank you so much.
Yes,
so much.
thank you. Thank you.
Shoo, hallelujah.
Now this does
Appreciate you.
automatically make Jason qualify for an insta-nighting. I did send an email off to Jason to see if we would get a knight or dame name. I don't know. But of course, yes, that amount entitles producer Jason, or executive producer Jason, to the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. If you're new to the show, you'll hear us talking about Sir Tristan or Sir LX Protocol. These are people who get a special seat at the table, or the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, who have produced the show for $1,000 or more. Sometimes this is all at once. Sometimes this is over many years. But it's a very special commitment and faithfulness that we just love to celebrate. So, executive producer Jason, you just let us know, buddy, whenever you get your knight name or dame name, and we'll be happy to honor you on the show. And we got a seat here waiting for you.
Yep. Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you very much, Sir Jason. Or no. Yeah, maybe it is Sir Jason.
Well, I know.
soon.
I almost kept saying Sir Jason, too.
It's already happening. We're time travelers, so it kind of just
that's
happens,
a good point. Yes,
Yeah,
there's some time travel hacking going on here. Well, that's it for the executive producers of today's show. Thank you so much. What an answer to prayer, and God bless you guys. We'll be thanking some more producers later on in the show who come in with their time, their talent, and their treasure. But Gons, before we jump into what's next, we got a big announcement with meetups. Listen up, meetup people.
Okay, we're doing meetups now. Okay,
We should just do it at the top. We don't want anybody to miss it.
You're right. Okay.
So canarycrymeetups.com, folks. I got a text message from somebody who said it's not clear how to put on a meetup at canarycrymeetups.com. Right now, there is no, it's not a functional thing. There's no web app where you go on there and you schedule something. If you want to schedule a meetup in your area, all you do is send us not a text message, a email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. Just pick a place, pick a date, pick a time, let us know. We will put it on the website and let everybody know about it. Now, if there's any web developers or anybody out there who would like to help us set up like a self meetup scheduling device on the website, we'd love to do that. But the meetups are very important, folks, especially as the world continues in the direction that it is. Who knows when the blackout will happen? Who knows when the cyber pandemic will start? Who knows when
That's actually a very good point. I know the urgency of a meetup has come and gone. It's gone through waves of people feeling it's really important and then not so much for a little while. But given what's happening over across the pond there, it might be a good time to start making some local connections.
I think it's an extremely important thing to do. Of course, during COVID, we had meetups going on every single weekend.
It was the rebellious thing to do, to meet people in public. Oh, the concept was just mind-blowing.
Yeah, and with all the censorship going on and with everything, all the uncertainty, people were like, I need to meet people in person. I need to get people's phone numbers. We need to start
psyoped into doing
community, stuff like that. And I think we are, if we're not already in that place now, we are going to be there soon. So if you are someone who is, aware of the risks going on this year and into next year, making personal contact with Canarians in your area, people who are on the level, people who understand what's going on, not just, politically or current events or whatever, not even just the preppers, although lots of preppers show up to these things, but also spiritually, also you want people who are spiritually aware of what it takes to make it through something like this as a community. So highly recommend, people go to canarycrimemeetups.com, see the meetups, go to one. If there's one at all in driving distance of you, go to it. And if there's not one near you, then put one on yourself. I would suggest planning out about a month in advance, pick a time, pick a place, and we'll just tell everybody about it. It goes out in every email. We mention on most shows, stuff like that. So, of course, on May 3rd, we've got the North Carolina meetup in Cherryville, North Carolina at Niha's Ice Cream. We did have a little mix-up with the communication, the contact email with this. So it's damesarah@proton.me is the correct email.
Okay.
I think some people were having trouble getting in contact with her. And here's the thing, you are not required to get in contact with a host before going to the meetup. You can always just show up at the place at the time. But if you want to get in contact, contact stuff is at canarycrimemeetups.com. So go to Cherryville, North Carolina, May 3rd. They're doing a hike in the morning, and they are doing ice cream at 2. We also just got the data. I'm looking, I think maybe you and I had a miscommunication today, Gons, because I mentioned we have the details. Oh, yeah, maybe it's a reload thing. There it is. Houston, Texas meetup is officially no longer to be determined. The TBD is gone. It is May 24th, Houston, Texas, at 1 p.m. at Battle Axe Throwing. Cool.
Oh, that sounds. We need footage of this.
It's a good apocalypse skill. It's a good skill.
Absolutely.
It's very important.
Should get some canary masks that they can wear so they can be filmed.
Those
their turns,
Those who were hooked into the show during COVID will remember that I had gotten Christmas of 2019. I had been given a axe throwing set, and then being trapped during COVID, I was throwing axes every day in the backyard.
Did it unleash your genetic memory of being a Viking, the bloodline? It just activated, right?
Connected with the DNA memory.
I know. I need to bust out the samurai sword more often. I need something to chop up.
Every man needs something to chop up. Let's just say
I did chop up some bushes the other day to make it fit into a trash can. Those,
very manly.
And it felt so wonderful. It was so therapeutic. I need to do more of that.
It's good to chop up. So go to Battle Axe Throwing, Houston, Texas, May 24th at 1 p.m. You can contact the host, David G. NO33 at protonmail.com. You can find all those details at canarycrimemeetups.com.
Canary Crime Meetup.
And one last quick note before we go. Don't worry, it's not a big thing. But do this. Text the word canary, just the word canary, no exclamation points. Text it to 877-740-3226 to get on our text message alert system. You'll just get a text message before we go live, so you don't have to rely on the unreliable and perhaps even malevolent notification system on YouTube and Rumble. We just got our other YouTube channel back, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people who thought that we had disappeared, never to podcast again in 2021, and that's because they did not connect with us outside of the platform. So the easy, fun way, I wish we had the text message thing back then, but we don't. So highly recommend you text the word canary to 877-740-3226. But the most fun part is you can text me back at that number. I text all the messages out. I read all the messages that come in. Keep in mind, I can't text you back because it's very expensive for us. But I do read them. Sometimes we read them on the show. And I did want to give Who is this? It's Lion. Oh, here we go. 269 texted Gons, and I thought you might be interested in this.
Okay.
Said, dad joke for the fans.
Oh, there you go.
Here we go. Who is Tiger Woods' arch nemesis?
Who?
You would likely think it's Arnold Palmer, his ex-wife, or that Kuchar guy, wouldn't you? Well, you'd be wrong. It's Lion Irons. I have no idea what this means, 269. Maybe it's because I'm not a golf fan, but I bet you there are some dad joke golf fans out there who that meant something to someone.
I'm sure the irons is a reference to the golf clubs, your irons. That is
okay. I'm assuming yes, and Lion, maybe
zero. No, there's zero.
No, I know
knowledge
he's
of
a
golf?
golfer. I know he's a golfer. And Lion is spelt Lion, like the cat, but maybe it's something to do with lying, because Tiger Woods, he tried to cheat on his wife or something. I don't know. Anyways, thank you 269. We
appreciate that.
Apparently, Gons, you've inspired a lot of people, because 614.
Hey, you know what? As long as the good ones, if they're really good, I'll do it on the show. How about that?
That's right.
Just
614
start sending them in.
Said, no, don't send them in, because I have to read them all.
Text Canary, text Canary to 877-740-3226, and then text your dad joke to Basil.
I'm just going to start sending out your personal phone number to people if they start doing that. 614 says, what did the ball earther go to the psychiatrist for? He was feeling bipolar.
Oh, actually, that one's pretty. I like that one. That one's not bad.
See, folks, this could be you. 25. Oh, this is Kat. Says, so appreciate your texts. Blessings, gentlemen. One last one here. 704 says, my day is greatly improved now. The Canary boys are live. More dad jokes, please.
See,
wow.
There's a demand. There's a demand for the dad jokes.
I never would have thought that this is what would have happened if you started doing this again. So there you go, folks. Text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. I might read some later on in the show, but get connected, stay connected, don't miss a show. Don't suddenly look around 6 years later and think, I wonder what the Canary boys ever did.
That's been the best part about the reigniting of the Basil haters, is that it's been at least 4 years since they've been exposed to Basil's googly eyes.
Yeah.
The fact that no time passed, boom, they saw him on the feed and he's still there. Wait, what happened?
Yeah,
that's hilarious to me. I think that is really wonderful, actually.
Yeah, it really is incredible how
it's amazing.
The Basil hate just kind of went dormant and survived. Yeah. It survived for
yes.
4 or 5 years.
The flood.
And is revived just as powerful as it ever was. You'd think that these people would have other things in their life to be worried about. Anyways, that's not the case. And I'm glad the Basil haters, they are fewer and far between. But yes, they have awoken like some kind of, I don't know, zombie.
I don't know. Once we poke the face like the Sun channel, we might shake out a few more. Yeah, we might find a few more in there. It'll be a good time. Okay.
So there you go. Thank you, dude. That it's all good time. So many good things. Get connected to the community. Now it's time to get into the news, Gons.
Strategy in the area of psychological operation. PSYOPS.
Okay, this was one weird thing. For those who follow me on X, we just have to identify this, because I think it's in line with some meta narratives that we've been observing, of course, especially when it comes to the institutions sort of realigning with Donald Trump for obvious billionaire reasons. Even Bill Maher. Did you see the Bill Maher thing?
I did not. What did he do?
Bill Maher, so he came out, this was last week, I think. He got invited to the White House, had dinner with Donald Trump. And then on his show, he gave this big 12-minute thing about how he actually had a really nice time with Trump. Trump was nice. Trump was a deep thinker and wasn't mean to him. And, Bill Maher was like, I don't know what to tell you guys. I know I'm going to get hate for this, but I'm telling you, the guy that I had dinner with was not the guy who, we've been told about in the
spending
media.
our last 10 years describing and hating.
coming from Bill Maher, I mean, this is an especially crazy thing to hear. Now, he wasn't saying necessarily like, I'm on a Trump's team now. He's like, I will still keep him accountable. I will still point out his flaws or whatever. But he did this whole thing. And so basically, you know, the whole world turned on Bill Maher. And you're seeing this more and more and more. Well, a weird thing happened yesterday on Neil deGrasse Tyson's X page. And here's the tweet. The tweet says, decisions, decisions. Which hat to wear today? And it's a picture of Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's looking very serious. Not quite a scowl, but a sort of scowl. And in his hands, he's holding 4 red hats with white lettering, the MAGA style. And he's holding 4 of them. From left to right, the hats read like this. Make America Great Again. Make America Smart Again. Make Lying Wrong Again. And relax, it's just a red hat. And you see this and you immediately go like, when I saw it, my brain immediately was like, oh, he made some fake hats. Let's see, like, what funny Neil deGrasse Tyson anti-Trump jokes he's written. And you see the first
that was your reaction, huh?
Oh, yeah, I figured. I mean, just the immediate, you know, seeing Neil deGrasse Tyson holding the red hats. I'm assuming it says like stuff like the make lying wrong again,
more,
just more anti-Trump. But then I see, you know, he starts out with an actual Make America Great Again hat. Go, okay. Then Make America Smart Again. Okay, all right. You could see a way that that's starting to be a little anti-Trump. Make Lying Wrong Again. Okay, that's pretty blatantly, you know, a dig on Trump. And then Relax, Just a Red Hat. Honestly, Relax is Just a Red Hat was kind of the most surprising because the institutions, the establishment, the shills, you know, they don't like this common sense middle ground thing. You know, it's very against the ethos of the popular left to give any ground to the middle, which is why when similar to Bill Maher, when Bill Maher comes out and he says, look, he was nice to me. It was cordial. He asked me what I thought about stuff. I'm still not, you know, a fan, and I'm going to keep pointing out his problems, but he wasn't the guy that you told he is. In the same way, you have Neil deGrasse Tyson offering up, at least as one of 4 options, this sort of middle ground hat. Relax, it's just a red hat. Now, it obviously confused me right away. I will say, when you go to his page, his usual, you don't need to go there, but his usual post, you know, will get a couple 100,000 views, 400,000, 500,000. Sometimes he'll hit 1 million when he really goes viral or something. But this post made it to 22 million people, which for anybody is a pretty enormous reach. So he obviously struck something with this picture, which, I mean, of course, makes sense. It's Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's holding a bunch of MAGA hats. There's already sort of a topsy-turvy triggering. The whole thing is such a crazy psychological trigger. Just seeing
I think
for
he probably used AI, or somebody used AI to make these hats too.
It seems algorithmically perfect.
Yeah,
like,
I don't
know.
Think
yeah, you're right. They could be fake hats. I think they
could be real hats, but you can go in there and use AI and create the different taglines.
Well, either way, whatever
matter,
it doesn't really matter whether they're real or
at
fake.
This point, you should just assume everything is mixed in with AI. There is no reality anymore. It is all AI.
Yeah. Well, and here's just to extend your point, it doesn't matter if it's real or not.
Yeah.
We're in this post-literal, post-physical world where an image, it does not matter whether they're real hats or not in the long run. And that's just the way they want it. Post-truth, post-reality. So 22 million views, by far, like this is way more reach than anything he does ever gets. And you start scrolling, and everybody is just about equally as confused. There's people assuming that it's anti-Trump. There's some people being like, wait, does he support? What the heck? People posting their own stuff. You can't spell hatred without red hat. Whoa. And it kind of goes back and forth quite a bit, but also includes this middle ground. Like, relax, it's just a hat. What matters is who's wearing it and why. Now, this obviously went so viral because it so perfectly gives everybody an opinion.
Right.
The pro, the anti, the confusion, the switcheroo.
Everybody has a little crumb of the cookie.
It's a beautiful
chew on and throw back.
Beautifully constructed psyop. Now, there was a couple of polls that somebody did. Number one, CEO branding expert is a user.
This is his moment right here. Look at him.
This is his moment.
47,000 followers, and he gets this big play. I mean, he didn't get that much actually. He's only got
in the thread. He posts a poll for people who are scrolling and looking to choose: make America great again, make America smart again, make lying wrong again, and relax is just a red hat. And the way it spun out is very interesting. 31.9% chose the Make America Great Again hat. Majority MAGA people in the thread, meaning they started by looking at his picture, scrolled down to see what everybody else was saying, and the majority of them were MAGA people. Now, the second most was relax, it's just a red hat at 31.3%.
Very
so you
close.
have the
an
middle
even
ground.
split almost.
Yeah, you've got basically a middle split between MAGA people and, let's just say, independents.
Relax is just a red hat. The libertarians and independents, maybe.
Yeah. Make lying wrong again got 20.7%, and make America smart again got 16.1%. So overall, it shows that 63% of people who were scrolling in the thread was like, hey, yeah, either pro-Trump or not anti-Trump. Just like, hey, chill out, or like, yay, Trump. 36.8% was the answer that you would expect from a Neil deGrasse Tyson crowd. You'd think that it would way lean in the anti-Trump way. But not only was it 63% to 27 or whatever towards Trump, but it was a massive weight in the direction of red hat, or at least not sort of being angry at red hats.
Right.
Now, Neil deGrasse Tyson himself had posted his own poll. It is important to to know the poll I just showed you was inside of the thread of his post. It was connected directly with the post, meaning everybody who took that poll was looking at the picture, was scrolling down to get more information, which, kind of shows that MAGA people and independent people saw the post, went to the post, and then went looking through the comments,
looking for
more
context, looking for reaction, trying to understand what the post means, maybe. Yeah, just looking for more information or reaction. So that's typically what you would want to do if you want a more balanced or full view of what's going on. Yeah,
it says something. Now, Neil deGrasse Tyson, on his own timeline, not connected with the post, with the picture, says 48-hour poll, and he has the choices. Make America great again, make America smart again, make lying wrong again, relax, it's just a red hat. The same choices, not connected to the poll. Now, this poll made it to 500,000 people, but there's no indication that the people who took this poll even knew about the picture, even ever saw it. Presumably some percentage of them did see the picture, but there is no direct correlation between the people who took this poll and the picture that he posted. And the numbers show something interesting. The Make America Great Again hat only got 18.8%. The Make America Smart Again hat got 25.5, which is more than the other one. Make Lying Wrong Again got 32.3, much more than it did in the other one. And Relax, It's a Red Hat got 23.4. So more or less, roughly, it split up almost in the same ratio as the other poll, but it went the other direction, meaning the people who took this second poll had presumably no connection to the actual red hats. They were not paying attention to the hats. They don't. Now, again, we have to presume, because surely some of them did, but there's no direct algorithmic way that you can guarantee that people in this poll knew anything about the hats. It was just a random poll that came by on their timeline that said, you know, pick a slogan, make America great again, make America smart again. And this one, almost in the same ratio of percentages, went to the left, went to the anti-Trump side. I think there's something interesting to say about the people who actually saw the post about the hats were mostly people in the center right or right, and the people who just took a random poll that had no connection to the picture went left.
Well,
I don't know
exactly. I don't know if it's directly went left. I know we've been kind of framing it as left right, but if you're looking at this poll and you don't have those hats,
if you don't,
even if you're center or right, you know, if considering there is a little bit of a, you know, dip in Trump, I don't know, excitement because of everything going on in the economy, the ups and downs and the tariffs and all that kind of stuff. It could be some people just saying, yeah, I don't like the line going on with Trump or something, you know?
Yeah. But, well, that's what they're saying. It's sort of anti-Trump. Your normal
but it's
Neil
not
deGrasse,
like
Tyson
fan.
But
there's probably an overlap. But there, you got to the variable that I would like to hear your thoughts on. The smaller poll in the thread was, I think it polled 6,900 people or 6,980, so about 7,000 people. This poll had almost 90,000. So you know, it's only about 8%. That other one, the smaller one in the thread. So this actually makes sense because it would reflect Neil deGrasse Tyson's core following, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Than just random people scrolling through that post.
That's right. The second poll just would go out to his following, not connected to anything.
Right.
It would show up, you know, in a bunch of people's timelines just randomly.
If they're following him or something, they'll see it, you know.
Sure, or the algorithm gives it to them. But the other one was specifically people who saw the hats and scrolled down.
So here's the thing that to keep in mind too. Part of using the red MAGA hats in a post, you know, to deliver this poll or this message, is in itself invoking a sort of, you can say, mimetic power, you can say some kind of magical powers, whatever it may be. And it is interesting to watch this because if you think about the kind of not just psychological, but even spiritual influence that objects have, especially in this, you know, realm of symbolism we live in now, tapping into the red hats, it's almost like the left's big red button, like emergency button. Like, look, my engagement is down. I need something to kind of stir things up. You can lean on a MAGA hat as somebody like Neil deGrasse Tyson to max engage, you know? So
yeah. And
it's interesting to me that he would use it, you know, that he'd go to it to make a little photo and post it and do the whole thing.
Yeah. And in this case,
obviously worked. 22 million views.
Yeah, in this case, it drew more pro-Trump or centrist people to his actual post, rather than his normal audience, which we can see mostly leans left, but also still a surprising amount of you know, pro-Trump sentiment in that second one too. You wouldn't expect that, but yeah, I mean, Trump himself, we've talked about his affinity for working in the economy of magical items, and you can. I mean, obviously, as far as talismans go, the red hat is a Trump-created talisman. You know, he, by his own power, has picked a fairly simple, fairly innocuous object, a red hat with boring white lettering on it and turned it into this incredibly potent talisman that can sort of be wielded.
Every distributor and producer of red hats across the country and the world were probably absolutely excited about this because their business boomed. Probably made a bunch of millionaires.
2015 when Trump was running and made the hats.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, about 10 years ago when they started doing this. So
it is funny.
He can king make an industry.
Just to make a note, you were talking about if the hats are real or not. I think they're real, but if you look, just talking about the red hat making industry, each hat is obviously a different manufacturer. They're different makes of hat, the different styles,
font.
The different stitching, not even the font. Like, look at the actual construction of the hat. The actual construction of the hat, these were each made in different factories. So, you have
the second one is mesh in the back. Yeah, I can see a little bit of the...
Yeah, you've got like I can't tell.
The third one's kind of the mushy. It doesn't have the prominent front bill there. Yeah,
you can tell the shape of the bill, the center seam, and then the air holes. They're all basically different manufacturers.
First one doesn't have air holes. What's going on with that?
Know. Well,
MAGA is suffocating.
It's the OG. You got to keep all that heat under the hat. It's too much. So I thought it was interesting. I think it's an interesting insight as we continue to spot trends and try to dissect and interpret what not just the mainstream media, in this case, the robots, the algorithms, the true powers of our perception being controlled online. We like to pick these things out, break them down, notice them, and more often than not, we can start picking out on just full on PSYOPs. Like, you can see a controlled, managed dissemination of sentiment and message when you take, especially someone as big as Neil deGrasse Tyson and something with as much reach as $22 million. I saw a recent
impressions.
Dollars. Yeah, sorry.
He wishes they were dollars.
I'm sure he's got 22 mil in the bank.
I'm sure
somewhere.
He does, but not from this post. He's not going to make 22 million off the post.
And I saw, it was interesting. I kind of went, somebody had done a very interesting breakdown of Q, which seems, so kind of old school. But they had put the Q posts through 5 different forensic processes. Messaging for forensics, and
is that a real thing or is that some GPT somebody built?
No, it was a real thing. So
okay.
When it comes to forensics, whether it's online cyber threat forensics or the forensics when it comes to profiling like a serial killer or a kidnapper, looking at their notes, looking at their messages, stuff like this, they put it through that, and it was funny because they did this huge breakdown and analysis and gave you all the math, all the statistics, everything. There's so much information. And at the end of it, they're like, oh, as you can see through all of this forensic, statistical blah, 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 Q was most definitely a controlled, planned, managed, operation. This wasn't just random people posting random things. It very clearly was a professionally managed PSYOP of a type, which is kind of like, of course it was. That's what everybody.
It's been the take.
But it was interesting to read, and I think what got me locked into reading the whole analysis was it's basically, in a way, what we tend to do naturally on the show, which is sometimes a little bit too tediously go through these messages that are, the messages of the day, the propaganda of the day. And when you start breaking them down and categorizing exactly what you're seeing, you can start to spot the quite obviously professional managed psychological operations. And I feel like this might be part of something that we'll see more of. And it already is something that we've seen a lot of lately, was this sort of testing the waters, middle ground, frog in the boiling pot of water, controlled transition for the Trump hating, influencer types to start kind of softening and opening up the doors and
Well, they got
gathering.
to tap into the powers of the day, which
and
was launched by the Trump era.
And gathering their own intel too, to like,
Right,
okay,
yeah.
do I need to start shifting towards Trump? Is
This
this
is the open source warfare, the
stuff
open
like
source PSYOP that Trump launched. He was right. He launched a new age.
We will launch a new age.
We're absolutely in a new age of all kinds of new types of, I guess, a new type of medium for the warfare. The warfare is the same. The spiritual warfare is the same as it always has been. It's just the way in which it is done has changed, I suppose, with the tools.
Yeah, well,
and
and we're in this age where, say, the government or various establishment forces have sort of harnessed the operations of the spiritual war and brought them into the information space, and that's what we call fifth generation war.
Absolutely.
And interestingly enough, sorry, I did 2 in a row here, but you have a few after this. I will say, speaking of transitions, we
It's got to be biblical.
a very interesting transition we've been tracking, and this is a good example of why we start calling these things out early, because it was, man, almost 2 years ago now that I've been talking about what I had been seeing with a transition towards Christianity, which now, today, if you're hearing this for the first time, you're going to think, yeah, of course, Basil, duh. We know that Christianity has a resurgence. But, longtime Canarians, we've been breaking this down for at least.
It was very
a few years.
unpopular to say. 2 years ago was probably the end of the true era of it, but
Got a lot of
we
pushback.
saw it coming. But even before that, and especially on the Face Like the Sun channel, I remember publishing stuff it wasn't anti-Trump per se, but it was more, hey, it's starting to look like they're really leaning into the religious side of things, which we've been saying is a repetition of history. If you
The ship
study
is
post-World
turning.
War II, type of sentiment for, the fight against communism is very much it was constructed in America as a religious war. So there you go.
Yep. And this is, again, we like to see the ship turning early. We call it out. We spot it. Nobody believes us. In fact, we can get some hate from people about it because they think they know better. And then a couple years down the line, it's in the mainstream media and it's obvious. That's how it happens. It becomes so obvious that the people who scoffed at you before think that it was their idea. But this coming from Vox.com here. Love it. Love that they're still doing whatever. Talk about PSYOP. Vox is dead, but somehow through NGOs and corporate funding, they are a zombie outlet. They
Do you know where they're headquartered? Because from our timeline, they're publishing this article at 3 a.m. What are they doing at 3? I mean, this like nothing good ever happens at 3 a.m.
That's
so.
very interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a very
the witching
interesting
hour.
time. Yeah, the witching hour to publish the article.
The headline here is Gen Z is finding religion. Why? 3 theories for
Thank
Gen
you.
Z's
Vox giving us theories. Okay.
return to God and faith. Okay, Vox, you finally caught up. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I will summarize it very well for you. And then the kicker's at the end, just for a start. It says, for most of the last 30 years, the story of religion in America has been a pretty steady one, a constant, consistent drop in religious affiliation every year. Starting in the 1990s, the share of Americans who identified as Christian or identified with any religion at all began to drop precipitously. At the same time, those with no religious affiliation, nicknamed nuns, began to spike. Americans have been steadily losing their religion entirely. They haven't been converting to other religions or getting religion later in life. That trend might be ending. Over the last 5 years, the share of Americans who are nuns has stabilized at roughly 30% across multiple tracking surveys, largely because of one group, Zoomers.
Oh, those evil Zoomers. Must take out the Zoomers.
Yeah, you can kind of tell that Vox is, their level of being out of touch, because calling them Zoomers is a bit of it's fallen out of vogue. They don't really go by Zoomers, only it just kind of feels a little bit out of touch to call them Zoomers. But Sometimes around or after the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, young Americans began to find or at least retain religious belief at higher rates than previous generations. The numbers tell this story quite cleanly. While the share of nuns jumped by about 40% from 2008 to 2013, the rise began to slow between 2013 and 2018. Then, in 2020, it stagnated.
Oh my gosh, they're looking at these charts. It's like an emotional roller coaster. It's too much for Vox.
So then they go into it. They say, okay, yeah, this is very interesting. Gen Z overall is rediscovering faith. And they wonder, well, are they rediscovering faith, or are they just not losing their faith? They're a little undecided on that. I would say a lot of them are either rediscovering or discovering for the first time faith. And they come in and they say, well, COVID, Gen Z was so lonely, so now they jump into religion, so they have friends at church. This third space thing, meaning they're so lonely at home, they grew up lonely, COVID was lonely.
Loneliness epidemic.
And so to be less lonely, they're going to church. Okay, I mean, a pretty flat, boring theory there, but okay. And then it says a response to loss of trust in the establishment.
That's a question. At least, they put it in a question form.
Yes. Well, this is their second theory. Their second theory is, again, through COVID and through various events over the past few years, everybody, but including Gen Z, are losing their faith in the establishment.
Trust.
And so they are
becoming religious. They're finding God to replace government. How dare they? How dare they replace government with God?
Exactly. And that, that's kind of the interesting part is like, oh, they don't like the establishment, so they find God. Whereas the secularists in the mainstream, culture would say, oh, I'm anti-establishment. I don't believe in the church, established religion. I'm anti-establishment, but I love the government. So, there's a bit more subtlety involved here, but I will read this one part here. In that way, it makes sense that religious unaffiliation might have hit a ceiling at the start of the COVID era as Western societies, and particularly younger people, began to question orthodoxies, political and secular institutions, and conventional political parties and leaders. Then, lastly, they say a response or a cause of younger people's rightward political and social shift. And this is where they come out and say, well, look at the numbers. Trump won because of Zoomers, because of Gen Z. Gen Z has had the biggest rightward shift of any generation almost ever. For many generations now, each generation gets progressively more left and more left. With Gen Z, you're seeing a larger number than ever of political alignment to the right. And they admit that this is probably because, society kind of turned on men, and they're being anti-establishment. They're being rebels. It's more punk rock now to be conservative or Christian and stuff like that. But then they split it between men and women. This gender divide is quite dramatic. Gen Z men are significantly more likely to attend religious services than Gen Z women, a reversal from what the norm was in the U.S. And young women are leaving American churches en masse, largely because of political and ideological cross pressures on what these churches teach about gender norms, sexual identity, and gender equality, as well as the roles they offer women in religious institutions and the political leanings of some churches, according to research from the American Enterprise Institute's Survey on American Life. One survey center study, for example, found that about 2/3 of young women believe, quote, most churches and religious congregations, end quote, don't treat men and women equally, while the Public Religion Research Institute has consistently found that the, quote, negative treatment of gay and lesbian people, end quote, has been key driver of young women away from organized religions. That might be amplified by the fact that high rates of Gen Z women, some 3 in 10, now identify as LGBTQ.
Oh my gosh. 3 in 10,
30%
of Gen Z women identify as LGBTQ. Wow.
Yeah, 30%. That's an enormous percentage.
I mean, yeah, I got to golf clap the PSYOPers. Well done. Holy moly, that is. They did it. I mean, to some extent. It might be the end of that op, like this is kind of their, they lost the steering wheel kind of thing. But man, you get a whole generation of women or at least, 3. It's interesting how everything is in thirds too. I've noticed that 2/3, 1/3, 30%. It's just a lot of 3 going on in a lot of those numbers today.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Now, at the same time, it says the subtle integration. This is great. This is the real kicker here, Gon. So Gen Z women, 30% of them are LGBTQ, and they are under the impression most churches and religious congregations don't treat men and women equally, et cetera, et cetera. Now the boys. At the same time, the subtle integration of religious traits. Remember back when I first started calling out this trend, and I would say, it's not necessarily religion, but it is an appreciation for Christian qualities, for Christian characteristics and Christian virtues. Well, they point that out here now, a couple years late. It says, at the same time, the subtle integration of religious traits into the teachings and preachings of some alt-right manosphere adjacent content creators who have a particular reach with young men might be amplifying the tension. It's the podcasters.
Oh, no.
It's the manosphere.
Maybe they're just talking about you. No, I know.
Well, it's hilarious
because these other guys, but
they put in all these trigger words, right? Listen to the trigger words: alt-right, trigger word; manosphere, trigger word. They
manosphere adjacent.
Yeah, they can't.
They're too scared to just say the manosphere, so they'll just say manosphere adjacent content creators.
That's right. They can't commit to it. Yeah. Well, because you also think of the manosphere, you think Joe Rogan, Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson. Neither of those, any of those 3, are not Christian. Those are not Christian guys. Andrew Tate's Islamic. Jordan Peterson talks in Christian ways, but is not a confessional Christian, admittedly. Joe Rogan, obviously not a Christian. So they want to talk about the toxic manosphere, but none of them are Christians. So they just kind of say manosphere adjacent content creators.
Well, yeah, especially since Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson in recent years have brought on people to discuss more like straight Christianity or Bible or something like that. So I can see how, from Vox's point of view, it's like, they're letting the evil religion seep into their manosphere adjacent content creation. So. And
even by their own words, they call it religious traits. So they're not even saying religion. They're not even religion. I was saying it in that, Christian virtues, Christian characteristics, which there is a significantly higher amount of respect for in, I would say, especially online, major spaces and communities. And they pick it out right here. They can't even really say like, everybody's getting saved because of the manosphere. Just like a general recognition that religious traits, are a good thing. Content creators who have had particular reach with young men might be amplifying the tension. Amplifying tension, Gons. They're finding God. That's amplifying the tension.
I mean, it would with an evil hierarchy and infrastructure, such as I think Vox comes from.
The result is a generation of men finding community and belonging in religion. Oh, no!
How dare they find community and belonging?
So, I mean...
Anywhere.
men are supposed to be the worst, especially white men. They should be lonely. They should be alone. They shouldn't get to speak. They should be shut up.
I think I remember Christian Paz, this author of this article, in past times when we've discussed religion and Vox covering religion.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So I get the feeling, because I can see them being, very friendly with the lizard people. That's what they sound like. They sound like they have their own issues there. If you're really mad that men are finding community and belonging in anything,
they're also
it says a lot more about the author, in my opinion. But
they
whatever.
fail so spectacularly at hiding the psyop as well. Just the words they use, they cannot help. But, they'll give stats and say Gen Z women, 3 in 10, are LGBTQ. Very factual, very straight, very data-driven. And then when it comes to the men, like, why are men finding religion? Well, it's the subtle integration of religious traits into the alt-right manosphere adjacent content creators who have a reach with men, and it's amplifying. It's like, dude, what? You have no idea. You're just inventing a narrative and putting it out there. The result is a generation of men finding community and belonging in religion that reinforces their existing political preferences and causes a further rightward lurch, as was seen in the 2024 election. Remember, this is in the section called a response or cause of younger people's rightward political and social shift. So they're trying to ask the question, what's coming first, their politics or their religion? Is their politics pushing them towards religion, or is their religion pushing them to politics? They ask it as a question, and at the end here, they just say, no, they're becoming Christian because they're Republicans. They're becoming Christian because they like Trump. Great, thank you, Vox.
They missed an opportunity here.
What's that?
And maybe the memo has changed, but they could have easily brought in the Russia problem, and say, hey, they're becoming more religious because they want to be friendly with Russia. Russia. How horrible, because Russia's got in a holy war. They want to join that holy war. And
they've called Ukraine a holy war. And, there certainly is a very interesting sort of militancy. And I almost hesitate to use the word, because if the mainstream used that, they'd be talking literally with, militias and crusades and stuff. But, there is a particular fed upness, I think, that Gen Z men are feeling, that it's, it's very serious. This is not necessarily a vibe issue for them. They're not just vibing towards the right. They are turning to the right because of how they've been treated, because of their situation in life, because it is antithetical to mainstream everything, every single day of their entire life. They've been raised by either left-leaning boomers or millennials or whatever, living in the culture of millennials, which has been very softened and feminized, and all the social justice stuff and blah, blah, blah. So it really is, and this is exactly what we called in the beginning, was Christianity is the new punk rock. And that's not a bad thing, because when else Christianity was the new punk rock? When Christianity started. It started as an anti-establishment response to oppressive, religious and political control over, the Roman occupied Israel at the time. That is essentially what Christianity is, or how it began, rather. Maybe not what it is, but the atmosphere in which it began was this anti-establishment, underground punk rock rebellion against a corrupt, not just government, but also culture. And so it should be no surprise.
It's also interesting how over the first few centuries, it went from punk rock to punk rock was so cool that Constantine adopted it as his thing, it became the establishment, but then obviously the discussion about how, okay, what's genuine and true about the message or the truth, or is it still true if it's promoted by the, the highest people in society? So we're kind of going through that same thing. History tends to repeat. There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the cycles and seasons that God set up. And it's interesting because, as I always was taught when I was a young person growing up in the church, was that, the church has always thrived most under persecution. And then when it gets integrated into the establishment is when things start going south. Now, it may stay that way for a generation, and they do end it this way, and we'll keep that in mind here. It may, if it makes it into the establishment, it may stay popular for a generation before it sort of fades out in the next young people growing up and rebelling against it. It says here at the end, will it last? Whether these trends continue doesn't seem guaranteed. If anything, the data suggests we may have reached a temporary equilibrium in religious affiliation and belief that might change as older, more religious Americans continue to pass away. The strongest, and this I think is very interesting. This relates to the demographics problem. This relates to the political problem. This relates to the fertility problem. It's all wrapped up in this. It says, the strongest social research suggests that biggest driver and predictor of continued religious identification is how religious your parents were. So if a more religious and faithful Gen Z ends up keeping that faith and raising their children with the same norms, what looked like an inevitable and endless decline in American religiosity may have been less drastic than it appeared. Now, this ties into immigration as well. Why do the Democrats want to force so much immigration? Well, lots of reasons, but the justification they give is that we have a demographics problem. We are running out of young people. People aren't making enough babies. This, of course, is through a combination of the sort of deification, the sacrament of abortion. This is the sort of girl bossing, convincing women that they don't need to have babies to be happy. They can just be career women. We're seeing a really heartbreaking result in women turning 40 right now and realizing they've been lied to. But also, hey, we need more people. The economy doesn't work without more people. We are running out of 18-year-olds as a whole, and the 18-year-olds that we do have are being born mostly to religious families of faith, who consider it, a part of their calling as humans. So simply by the fact that religious people, in the parlance of this article, are having more children, it will solve the demographic problem. Liberals are not having babies. Liberals are also participating in the sterilization, either on purpose or without knowledge, of young children through trans ideology. They're avoiding having babies and having cats and dogs instead. And the people who are having babies are religious people. So it looks like this Gen Z, not issue, but this Gen Z trend we're seeing here is a result of 2007, 2008, because that's 18 years ago. The workforce problems we're having, we are losing 18-year-olds. We do not have enough.
These are, I suppose I didn't even think about it. It's pretty much children that were born at the economic crash.
Exactly. 2008. And this is what I'm finding is very fascinating, because we think back to 2008 and we say, oh, that thing that happened, wow, we're glad that that's gone. We're glad we made it through.
No.
Well, no. Yeah.
The crack is bigger. The problems are much more magnified now than they were back then even. So,
yeah. And part of the problem is the 2008, 2007 financial crisis made it so right now we are direly in need of new people to come into the workforce, 18-year-olds specifically. And without them, things are not looking pretty good. There's labor shortages. Yeah.
The robots are going to take over, buddy. AI and robots are going to just slip right in, and all these Gen Zers are going to just get to play video games. And
they'll save us. That's the thing. At this point, the robots aren't just taking our jobs. They will be saving us from destruction.
I know. It's kind of a creepy time. I want to piggyback on your Vox article here with the Economist, who also is recognizing this trend, not in America, but across the world. And they had an article, The Economist famously being the outlet that had the World in 2017 Trump tarot card cover. You remember that? We broke it down quite a bit. I think the first card has been the most powerful in terms of instituting society level effects. But the article from The Economist here is why Christianity is taking an Asian turn. Of course, I had to be the one to read this one.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, finally, guys, come on. Believers have clout in Believers have clout in South Korea, the Philippines, Japan, and beyond. Finally, I can travel through Asia and have clout, Basil. I'm ready to go. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just to give you a little flavor here. The impeachment of a former president, Yoon Suk Yeol, revealed many fault lines in South Korean society. One runs through the country's sizable Christian community. I've known Korea's had, or South Korea specifically, has had a pretty big Christian community. Christianity has long been a powerful force in South Korea society, and its battles over democracy. South Korea is among the most Christian countries in Asia, with some 30%. There's that 30% again. Everything is in thirds. Isn't that interesting? With some 30% of the population identifying as such. Protestant groups tended to align closely with the country's post-war authoritarian regimes, while Roman Catholics supported the democratization movement of the 1980s. These days, the divisions are less tidy, but no less pronounced. Christians are, quote, our own axis of the spectrum of a polarized society. We don't align neatly, end quote, says Cho Seung-hyun of the Catholic Peace Broadcasting Corporation. And so the 30%, the 1/3, considering the third of the stars passage in the Bible, Basil, the repetition of 1/3 falling from grace, so to speak, is a very interesting.
The stars.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. It goes into a whole bunch of stuff, and I didn't realize there are Asian people in leadership in Western Christian institutions. Christian leaders are increasingly emerging from Asia, notes Todd Johnson of the Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary in Boston. The Lusan movement, is that Lusan? An evangelical group founded by the American pastor Billy Graham, is led by a Korean American who works extensively in Japan. Did not know this. Recent heads of the Pentecostal World Fellowship and the World Evangelical Alliance. Two other big evangelical movements include Malaysian and Filipinos, respectively. South Korean missionaries are among the world's most active. A South Korean cardinal, and part of it too with the Economist is they mix. Christianity is one big thing, so it includes Catholics, and they don't distinguish it too much. A South Korean cardinal, Lazarus Yu Hwang-sik, is mentioned as a potential next pope. Now, this article is written before the pope passed away. I don't think Lazarus has a shot at becoming pope because he doesn't Peter, So Christianity also punches above its weight in education and, by extension, among the region's elites. This is in Korea. Or I guess Japan. In Asia. 9 of Japan's 65 post-war prime ministers, or some 14%, have been Christians, including the country's current leader, Ishiba Shigeru. Quote, if you want to find one through line for that phenomenon, it's education, says Levi McGaughlin of North Carolina State University. Many of the country's top private schools have Christian roots. Among Japan's roughly 600 private institutions, about 10% are Christian institutions. And they get into some more numbers here. I didn't realize there was so much Christianity in Asia. Even just a surprise to me that it's been so embedded. And then the reciprocal of Asians coming to America to lead Christian institutions in the West, or maybe not America, but at least the West. And this speaks to the same effect that we've seen in America, mostly through what we've identified on the show in the past through platforms like Epoch Times, which was has ties to I forget the exact name of the group, the religious group. Do you remember the name?
Moonies, isn't it?
Is it the Moonies?
I think it's the Moonies.
Yeah, let me just double check that real quick. Yeah, Falun Gong. That's what it is. I think I documented this in Age of Deceit 4. So yeah, Falun Gong. Falun Gong, who's their logo. Have you seen their logo, Basil? Falun Gong.
We've gone over it lately, but you can remind me.
Yeah, just.
Oh yeah,
a few swastikas.
Swastikas, yeah.
Mixed in with the yin and yang symbol, so nothing too crazy. Just a little Nazi reference, but only in the modern context. And maybe we're breaking out of that as part of the transition phase from this past era to another one. And anyway, Epoch Times being a very big mover and shaker in the new alt media and the rise of the right in America, especially through political means. I can see how, and specifically Falun Gong being from China, it's like a Chinese thing. But looking at all of Asia, it's interesting to see, Basil. It's interesting to see that the whole world is starting to become more vocal about their Christianity, and in turn, as we talked about, becoming leadership in various places of institutions or governments. And you had mentioned how you were always told that there's going to be a revival at some point. There's going to be this great revival. Mm-hmm. And ever since I've been a believer, I've heard similar things that, hey, we're expecting a revival. We pray for a revival. And I remember even thinking way back when I was talking to somebody who was really into this idea of a revival, I was thinking, okay, what happens after the revival? Because everything kind of ebbs and flows, even politically speaking. And we talked about it's the rise of the right, but really, if you look at it linearly, instead of like a right-left thing, the pendulum that just keeps going. If the pendulum keeps moving through time, it's making this sine wave that goes up and down, right? And so depending on what values you have, you're going to have moments where things are dipping or things are up and they're pumping. And for Christianity, things were dipping for a while. But that meant, the inverted chart means that the dip is actually a peak, right? For Vox, having this liberal wave was a peak. Great. We're having this great liberal progressive era. Well, that really brought Christianity down, or faith, I guess, religion. And now we're seeing that inverse. It's punk rock because from the perspective of religion, we're on the uprise. We're going against the tide. So I don't know. I'm seeing all these things and noticing that there's a phase that we're going through. We're going through the uptrend of religion in the world. But it also means it will be followed by some kind of correction, so to speak, if you're talking about a chart, where it goes back down. And the volatility will become more intense as time goes on, I would imagine, especially as different issues become more top of mind in society. Things like genetic engineering, designer babies, robots, AI, all these issues that we've been talking about as they integrate into society or biology, literally, the divides will become much more clearer, and I can see how the world gets that a big falling away could happen at some point. We get this big revival, we get a bunch of people saved, got a bunch of people at least turning towards God or Christian or religious values in general, and then whatever that next wave down or the next trend down, it could be as a result of the rise of the next liberal or progressive movement, which will probably have a lot of, I don't know, they'll have culture on their side, which is the thing, right? Culture has to kind of be.
The world might end before that.
You're right. I'm not.
20,
sure.
30 years, something like that.
I'm not. Yeah, I know. I understand that sentiment as well. Yeah, but people have always thought the world was going to end throughout history. I will say though, the difference now is that, again, it's infiltrating beneath our skin. It's not
I
just
will say,
external.
By the time that the robots take over, that would make sense. That would be enough of a shift, 10, 20 years when the robots finally rise up and we just have to sit in our pod and enjoy it. I could totally see that being a catalyst to make those things shift that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else there? I see you have the Economist up.
Yeah, I just wanted to just bring it back to
okay.
the
speaking of which, a couple interesting things are happening right now. Breaking, Florida's HB 999 just passed the House. The Legal Tender Act is headed into Governor Ron DeSantis. Gold and silver are now one step away from becoming legal tender. Not symbolic, not speculative, law. This is how you take back money sovereignty. We have thank you, Sir Ike, for tagging us in that. We have a huge, some exciting things happening across the country. There's several states who are now either in the process or have passed bills, or it's going through one or two, houses or whatever in various states. I mean, Missouri House Committee passes bill to treat gold and silver as legal tender. This was on May 8th. We got Florida doing it today. Alabama did it on March 4th, I believe. Yes, March 4th. Something about the past couple months, gold and silver as legal tender. And I think what's so specific, what's the question? What makes legal tender tender? What does that mean? Well, it's the state, for the most part, it includes the state accepting it for tax purposes. That is kind of the establishment, the systemic way that something becomes sort of legal tender. I'm being told here, Citizens for Sound Money, several states already are in the process of passing it this year. Idaho, Alabama made it legal tender. Missouri, Texas, North Carolina, hello, North Carolina, Ohio, Arkansas, and Florida still have active bills. So, I mean, in this crazy moment in history where the world order, the world economic order is getting tossed upside down by tariffs and, geopolitical things, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and now all those crazy tinfoil hatters who've been stacking up gold and silver,
this is their moment.
I mean, this is a very interesting moment for a reset that seems very subtle and probably doesn't mean a lot to a whole lot of people, because not a whole lot of people have denominations of
Physical
gold and
gold,
silver that would, actually help them out. But this is an enormous move that's sort of spreading across the country. We actually have a Canarian who specializes in gold and silver. I was chatting with somebody. They have a company that provides gold and silver and sort of various different ways of participating in an ongoing collection of such things, which is very cool. I mean, it's almost like, I have a good feeling that Canarians in general have a higher percentage of people who have played around with the idea of owning the actual physical silver and gold, not just the paper silver and gold. But considering, we're at the same time where the rumors of Fort Knox being empty, the largest movement of gold being shipped, out of the Vatican, back from the Bank of London, back to the US, this movement of gold around the world seems to, who knows if it's correlated or caused or whatever. But this seems to be, this is enormous. It's really hard to overstate how big of a deal this is compared to the last 100 years, 110 years of the Federal Reserve, taking away everybody's gold, going off the gold standard. This is a pretty big deal. I don't know exactly what that means for our daily lives as far as...
there could be some sort of transfer of wealth, or at least the potential of hyperinflation of the U.S. dollar.
Transfer of something.
I think it is to hedge against that hyperinflation of the U.S. dollar, because I think they're going to need to print a lot more to get us out of whatever we're in now, and some states are starting to hedge, create some protection.
Yeah, turning your cash into precious metals, and if precious metals are legal tender, means that it's basically as good as cash. It's cash that'll hold its value, like it's supposed to. So I don't know. We might need to start looking into some transition, some I don't know.
Well, you know what that means. Since gold is sound money, you know what that means for some other assets that are not physical.
What does that mean?
Go to moon.
Moon time, baby.
Hey, that'd be nice. We'll see how it goes. And with that, I think it's a good opportunity to thank some of our producers who are coming in with their own value. I'll tell you what retains value even better than gold, and that's producers of Canary Cry News Talk.
Yeah, hey, that's right. Definitely true.
We're on the value for value model, folks, which means we don't take any money from corporations, cartels, no advertising, no affiliate codes, no platform partnerships, nothing. We are entirely sustained by producers of the show who get value from the show and they go, goodness gracious, isn't that nice? Isn't it even nicer that I don't have to listen to ads? Isn't it even nicer that I, as a listener, are not actually a commodity, a product that my favorite podcasters are selling to corporations? Isn't that great? It's true, folks. The value for value model, it's worked so far, and we are confident that the Lord has us doing this way for some reason. And remember, you can become a producer of the show. That's what you are when you participate in the value for value model with your time, your talent, or your treasure. There's a lot of ways to do it. Doesn't matter how you do it. It's up to you. It is a rebel yell against the forces of mammon who have commoditized our very consciousness. And we'd love it if you'd join us in this mission. You can go to canarycry.support to learn more about it. We got a few people who came in under the executive producer amount, and we're going to thank them right now. We're going to start with producer, the American Hobo.
American Hobo.
American Hobo, sir, comes in for $23.32 and
$23.32. Okay.
On a 6-episode streak.
Hey, there we go.
American
Hobo's on fire.
Woo! Next up, we've got producer Aaron B coming in for 11:11.
Aaron B, thank you very much.
And
11.
Aaron B is on a 19-episode streak.
Did we give him his supernova last episode?
I don't recall. Is supernova 18?
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well give it to him. I don't remember.
This is Charlie, November Tango. You are approaching supernova. Repeat, you are approaching supernova.
You're going supernova, Aaron B. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aaron B.
Next up, we got Sir Marty K, Night of the Wrong Timeline. Comes
Sir
in
Marty K.
for 11:11.
11:11.
He is on a 2-episode streak. Thank you, Marty K.
2-episode streak.
He sends a note here, says, hello, fellas and my fellow Canarians. I thought I would take some of the heat away from you with the return of all the Basil haters, my best buddy Basil, by giving the Canarians some parenting advice that my late father used on me. Okay. So brace yourself, Canarians. Here we go. Okay, so we're getting some parenting advice from Sir Marty K's father. Brace yourself. This might explain some things. Quote, children are not here to be seen, heard, or loved. They are here to earn their privilege of being born by working. Ah, the Danish. What a happy group of people.
I like this perspective. This is
sure.
This resonates with the Asian culture for sure.
Very healthy. Next, quote, a couple of smacks a day keeps the bad behavior away. Yeah, that's one way to do it. Quote, you might hate me now, but in 10 years you will understand and thank me for it. I'd be curious. He doesn't say if he actually ended up thanking his father for it, but who knows? We'll see.
Maybe this is his way of saying it, that he is thankful.
This is giving thanks. Those quotes have served me well and made me the lovable and nice person I am today. Lol. See what I did there? I burned myself. Self-burn is well burned, as I always say. Yours truly, Marty K. Thank you very much for the support, Marty K. And for the advice. I leave that up to parents to decide if that works or not. Last but not least on this list, we've got CageRattlerCoffee.com.
Hey, Cage Rattler Coffee.
Head on over to CageRattlerCoffee.com, folks. This is the parallel economy. Canarians, we got to stick together. You got to buy coffee anyways. Keep your money out of the hands of those evil international corporations who hate you and everything you think about or stand for. CageRattlerCoffee.com, made by Canarians for Canarians.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
That's right. We get an endless stream of messages on the text message, on the email, everywhere. People talking about how much they love cage-free coffee. Sorry, Cage Rattler coffee. It's also coffee. Cage-free. There's no cage.
It is cage-free too. Yeah, that's true.
Cage Rattler coffee. This is all done by Canarians. The beans, they're coming in from, if I can remember, I think Nicaragua, Peru, Honduras, and the Congo. So much selection, roasted in small batches by another wonderful Canarian, done in the United States, packaged. It's an incredible thing. You got Gonz and I's face on the package. It's a beautiful thing. We've got the Nephilim Hunter Dark Roast, the Emu Wrangler Medium Roast. There's a combo pack. Look at that, a combo pack. And competitive pricing as well, with all the tariffs, all the crazy stuff. You know, it was very important that if Canarians were going to, attempt this parallel economy thing where we can support each other, but also provide for one another, that it makes sense financially. So competitive prices, CageRattlerCoffee.com, the best coffee in the metaverse, or so I've been told. And this is a great opportunity. A lot of people just can't bring themselves to do it, can't bring themselves to support value for value. It's just doesn't work for them for whatever reason, and that's fine. You'll still get the show forever. But, if you got to buy coffee anyways, if it's in the budget, you might as well get it from Cage Rattler Coffee. Not only does a portion of each sale come to support the show, but you're also supporting other Canarian families who are doing the work, making it happen. So, it's all about keeping it in the family here. It's very special. CageRattlerCoffee.com. Go get it now.
Let's go.
Okay. Well, that's that for producers who came in $7.77 or more. We got some people on streaks. We'll thank them right now. Mrs. Tinfoil Hatman coming in on a 139 episode streak.
Mrs. Tinfoil Hatman, thank you.
I will say Anonymous came in for an anonymous amount.
Anonymous, thank you.
Thank you, Anonymous. Veronica D comes in on her 478th episode in a row.
Oh, my goodness. Veronica D, thank you.
Sir Scott Knight of Truth, 530 in a row.
Oh, Sir Scott Knight of Truth, thank you.
And Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 534 in a row.
Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
Amazing.
Thank you very much to all of the financial producers. It means so much. And, in the podcastosphere, paying attention to kind of what's going on in the industry, you have the amount of advertising that is now going in on shows, even the ones that resisted advertising and would try their best not to advertise. They do a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. It's getting insufferable. There's so much on shows that, would maybe do one role in the middle of the show, starting out with 2 or 3 advertisements at the beginning, doing 2 or 3 in the middle, 2 or 3 at the end. I think if nothing else, it shows that the sort of economy of attention, the commoditization of your time and attention, the forces, the trends and forces that just can't help but monetize your soul for the corporate incentives going on around the world. It's very hard to deal with for me personally, and we're just so grateful that producers of the show, they understand value for value. It's not just about the annoyance of listening to ads. It's not just about, whatever, having to self-censor yourself so corporations feel comfortable giving you money. It is about all those things, but it's also a very sort of powerful spiritual statement to reject that altogether. And we could not reject it if it were not for the producer. So thank you so much.
Yep, absolutely.
A couple more dad jokes came in on the text message alert system. You want to hear a couple?
Sure, let's do it.
Text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Get on the list. 903. Okay, what's a pirate's favorite letter of the alphabet?
R.
No, it be the C. That worked out perfectly. It actually even came with instructions to wait for you to inevitably answer R.
Answer R, yeah.
Yeah. 281 says, blessings to y'all at Canary Cry. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Monica says, I went back and listened to the CCR episode on the prophecy of the popes. Very interesting. That led me down the OG CCR rabbit hole. Very fun to hear how you've both grown as show hosts. Thanks for the hard work over the years, Monica. Thank you, Monica.
I appreciate it, Monica. Thank you.
Quick producer, Gons, if you don't mind.
Producers, assemble!
787 says, shout out to Puerto Rico. A lot of rain and lots of floods and blackouts over here. We need as much prayer as possible. Benedicion, Basil, and Gons. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To all of our Puerto Rico producers. Praying for you that the floods stay away. 661 says, I appeal to you, therefore, Canaries, to by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Thank you, 661.
Thank you.
And one more dad joke from 208. When geese fly in a V and there's one side that's longer than the other, do you know why this is?
This does not sound like a dad joke, but why?
Because there's more geese on that side. Bruncha. May the show be more entertaining than this joke. Lol. Thank you, 208.
Thank you, 201.
There you go. Even if you're not here live, even if you're listening to the podcast version, go ahead, text Canary to 877-740-3226. Don't be one of those who misses out on Canary Cry for 4 years because you didn't connect in some other way. All right. I hand it off to you. Yep.
All right, here we go. Well, yesterday there was a post that was actually an article that was published by Forbes magazine. And the title of the article, I'm trying to pull up now because I have screenshots, I have receipts, was Zoltan Istvan enters California governor race with bold AI agenda.
He's back.
He's back. Now, this article is no longer on Forbes.com. It is not in the archives. It has completely disappeared.
It's been disappeared.
It's been disappeared. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. But
so for those who might be new to the show or new to the scene, Zoltan Istvan is a fella. You can talk about his research and stuff. He is a transhumanist. He is a explicit transhumanist. It has been for a very long time and has attempted several times now to get into political office. And we love tracking this guy. His opportunities that he is attempting to create for himself to get into politics, they almost mark like different eons in Canary Cry history.
They do, yeah.
Don't they? Like I don't even like, it's every, maybe 4 or 5 years he pops up and gets very active, and it kind of signals like the next the next phase in transhumanism watching. It's very interesting.
So I also posted, I retweeted his tweet. I'll read his tweet or post in a moment here. But I said, as a California resident, he's running for California governor, by the way. I'd love to interview Zoltan. His track record is interesting. 2016, he ran for president with the Transhumanist Party, which he spearheaded. And, I don't know if he had the immortality bus back then. We'll have to find out about that. But In 2018, he ran for the California gubernatorial as a Libertarian Party member, if I'm not mistaken. And then in 2020, he ran for president again as a Republican. Actually
governor.
finished.
That was his presidential campaign.
No, so 2016 presidential, 2018 gubernatorial in California. Okay, let me start over. He ran for the Transhumanist Party, which he spearheaded in 2016 as running for president. 2 years later, for the California gubernatorial, he ran as a Libertarian. Then in 2020, he ran again for president as a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually finished, I think he was 6th or something in the Republican side of things. And then now he's running again for 2026 California gubernatorial as a Democrat.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, he's learned his lesson.
So this is it's a very interesting.
He's all over the place.
I don't know. He's all over Transhumanist Party, Libertarian Party, Republican Party, Democrat. One of these times it's got to hit, right? One of these times it'll come through. So, and again, we've been covering Zoltan for a long time. One of the earliest Canary Cry News Talk episodes where we covered him was February 12th, 2020, which is fairly late in the discussion. This is just News Talk. I believe we've brought him up on Canary Cry Radio multiple times before then. But he is a transhumanist. Now, the post that he made.
Out of curiosity, I'm looking at what you have there. Did we not cover him in 2017?
We did. Oh, you're right. No, I see it right there. Yeah, February 14th of 2017 is when. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So, he's been talked about on the show for quite some time.
Many years.
Yes, and I believe Derek Gilbert of over there on View from the Bunker and PID Radio, he also interviewed him at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So he's open to interviews. His ex post said this: "Friends, today I'm officially announcing my campaign for California governor for the Democratic Party. After years of watching inequality, homelessness, regulation, taxes, lawfare," interesting, he used the word lawfare, "and crime increase in my home state, I've decided to do something about it. But the far deeper reason I'm running has to do with AI and robots."
Hey.
Yeah.
Of course it is. It always
Of course.
is. That's your thing.
"I believe within 4 years' time, half of jobs in California would be taken by AI and the millions of humanoid robots companies are already starting to make. With tens of millions of jobs are forever replaced by machines who are as smart and agile as people, the cohesion of society, which is already frail, will be destroyed. Humanity is facing the greatest threat it's ever faced, and no politician has a plan. However, I have a detailed plan, and the same one I've talked about to presidents at the World Bank and at senates around the world. The plan is harnessing the power of AI for the people, not the billionaires. It involves a universal basic income and using robots to work for us, so our lives get far easier and more prosperous. But my governor campaign can't succeed without money. So I'm asking supporters to go to my campaign website and chip in a donation, large or small. Together we can face the AI age confidently. Together we can make sure instead of humanity destroying itself, it thrives." So it's very interesting. So he's got a plan. It's concerning AI and robots.
I'll say this. Now, Zoltan, he's a little older than us and has been doing stuff for a long, long time.
Yes.
But it feels like in the same way that, for 13 years now, we have been a wonderful indication of what's to come and just have always been ahead of our time. I'm not going to lie. It feels like now might be Zoltan's time. In 2016, 2017, earlier than that, too early. Transhumanism was just a weird thing. The AI was a long ways off. Robotics was a long way off. Everything, things were happening, but you had to be pretty clued in. You had to be tuned in. You had to be listening to Canary Cry News Talk to even consider that any of these things might be important. Now, everybody knows that these things are rapidly going to kill us,
change society very quickly. Industries.
Some of the biggest names in culture are saying hey, we've basically got 6 months, on the shortest end. They're saying we've got 6 months until AGI. The world. And, I've been ranting since the beginning of this year about how the world in January 2026 will basically be entirely different. Where it's just we don't even know how it's going to be different, but it'll be totally different. And as humans, our most important thing is to get right with God, figure out where we stand, and develop ourselves that way. It's going to be the most important thing to do to stay human. But yeah, Zoltan, for all the many years that he has valiantly attempted to get into political office, explicitly as a transhumanist. I mean, he started the Transhumanist Party way too ahead of the game.
He had the immortality bus. Remember that? He was toting around the immortality bus across the country and campaigning for the Transhumanist Party to run for president. So he's put in the work, let's just say.
Running as a Democrat is genius. Makes total sense to me. If he's running for
there's
California,
a vacuum right now too.
If he's running for California governor, he has to run as a Democrat.
Yeah.
There's a good chance Gavin Newsom will be running for president, so there's no obvious front runner for California. And he's one of these things where coming up on 10 years or more, he's been talking about this crazy robot future, and people are just now waking up to it. This might be his time.
It might be. Yeah, you might be right.
That's why he should come on the show, because we're exactly where he can get his foot in the door.
So Forbes.com did take the article down. There were some other places that I don't know if it's a mirror of Forbes. But they had their own.
Why did they do that?
I don't know. I am very curious about that. Maybe there's a.
They're trying to hold him down.
They're trying to hold him back. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll find out maybe later. But there is a EIN Newswire article that is titled "World-Renowned Futurist and AI Expert Zoltan Istvan announces he's running for California governor as a Democrat." And it says here, today, Zoltan has officially announced he's running for California governor for the Democratic Party. Elections are in 2026. Zoltan is one of the world's most accomplished futurists, as well as a renowned extreme adventurer and former National Geographic journalist, a successful entrepreneur, family man, and Oxford graduate whom the New York Times wrote has a, quote, presidential aura. Zoltan has long lived in California, where he was born. On his campaign website, Zoltan says the central reason he's running is because he knows, quote, because he, quote, knows a dark truth, which no other politician will face, end quote. It's the specter of AI. Zoltan believes AI will cause calamitous change in society in just a few years' time. And it goes on, similar to what he posted there. It kind of repeats what we just read. And it says here, during 2026, tens of millions of humanoid robots will be mass-produced that are both smarter and more agile than people. By 2027, they will start dominating the workplace. And by the end of the next California governor's term in 2030, they will replace half of California workers. Now, Basil, 2030 is 5 years away. Mm-hmm. He is pointing out that in 5 years, over half of California workers will be robots and AI.
Yeah,
that is a quick turnaround. That's a lot of people. I think it's
reasonable.
I think it's reasonable too. I think no, I'm not doubting that it's going to happen. I'm saying that is a monumental shift.
Yeah.
And it is, I think, an important thing to discuss. But California being. And maybe this is why Florida is moving towards the gold standard and stuff, because things might start getting a little out of whack economically. If certain states are really pumping out the robots and robot workforce, a bunch of people that don't have jobs, and in other states, they can kind of mitigate some of the effects of that, or maybe even at least economically speaking. And it goes on to discuss Zoltan's expertise with AI. He says here that he has been working on his plan for 20 years, advising presidents, world leaders, and speaking about it at places like the World Bank and the World Economic Forum. There you go. Mm-hmm. As governor, Zoltan's plan to enact laws to make everyday people the main beneficiaries of the AI age. He also plans to freely give or lease a humanoid robot to every California household during his 4 years in office, which will help with chores, safety, childcare, cooking, and work, ultimately leading to a dramatically more leisurely lifestyle for Californians. I don't have to do laundry anymore. I don't have to wash dishes anymore.
Do you get a free robot? Is there
that's what he's saying, freely, or lease. Lease is a little bit more sneaky.
Yeah.
But maybe the taxes will be included in our taxes, you know.
Yeah, well, it's
exorbitant
UBI.
amount of taxes we pay in California.
Yeah.
You know, the universal basic income thing, I know people push back on the idea. But, you know, I've talked about DAOs. DAOs are very useful in facilitating a type of universal basic income where, you know, a organization,
decentralized autonomous organization.
Yes, if a robot factory is able to produce something robotically, and the human workforce required is greatly reduced, you can, instead of having people work for them, you know what's happening? I'm just kind of, I know I thought of this before, I'm realizing it and trying to verbalize it here. Human beings in this next iteration, all of us are going to be turned into marketeers for something.
What does that
mean? Because, okay, so let's say we have, let's say Tesla, right? You have people that Tesla gets their robots out or whatever, and the robot workforce is producing products and good services that are greatly reducing the workforce. Well, the exchange of this thing where people are losing their jobs can be, hey, we know you're losing your job, but you're going to get this share, either with crypto or with whatever. You get the share of the company. Call it Tesla, whatever. Maybe not Tesla, maybe a different company, a robotics company. And so now they can participate, and it's a DAO structure. Now they get a benefit being a citizen of the state. They will get some kind of financial benefit, a type of universal basic income based off of the profits of this robotics company that distributes it.
Kind of a mix between network state participation. What was the other thing? Keep going. It'll come back to me.
So the idea being that because our jobs will essentially not be in the factory, but it will be to promote that product or that service that the robots have. So hey, making content. Hey, my robot washed the dishes today. You dropped the dishes today. Oh, silly robot. You know, 2 million views, and everyone wants that robot in their house. So anyway, you get what I'm saying.
No, it goes back to the conversation we were having on Monday, which is Mark Zuckerberg saying that social media is not social media. There is no social media anymore. That it is just media. And even though, yes, you can make a post, there is nobody posts for any reason other than to get the most views. Everything's optimized.
Attention
and you
economy,
have to. You're not going there to message your sister or your mom. It's, if you're on social media, you're, you know, kind of trying to get as much attention as possible. It's no longer social media. It is just media, but in this decentralized way where suddenly everybody is basically in a job interview. I mean, that's what social media is now. Every post is just another job interview to see if you can be an influencer, to see if you can get the views, the attention that inevitably will allow you to monetize, allow you to, you know, sponsor, whatever. I mean, that is primarily what quote unquote social media is now. And what else will humans even be good for? I mean, once you're on UBI, universal basic income, again, which is something we were talking about in 2014, 15. And once no work can be done, you know, efficiently can be done by most people, all they can do is go on media and try to influence, make a buck, gain some sort of value position. Because, you know, humans, sure, you might use AI, you might use the tools, but what else is there to do? There is nothing. How can you create value in order to receive more value than just your UBI? Well, you mix in your DAOs, your network state, your citizenship with a robotics company, and suddenly you are basically working for them.
You're on the marketing team. You're on the public marketing team without it really, you know, being in-house. You're just an independent satellite marketing team for whatever shares you own.
And we already see this. You mentioned the, you're at home, you film your robot doing your laundry. Cool.
Yeah.
They literally did this with Elon and Kim Kardashian.
Really?
Elon gave Kim Kardashian an Optimus robot, one of the first Optimus robots.
Yes.
And, I'm sure she got it for free, and she goes around taking pictures and videos with her Optimus robot, which is marketing genius for Elon.
Yeah, of course.
It's going to be very similar. That's going to be very similar to what one of the possible futures of UBI AI robotics and the job market will look like.
A couple months ago, we had the Twitch streamer Kai Cenat having some humanoid robots. We talked about it on the show. This headline from Daily Mail from January says, Twitch streamer Kai Cenat slammed for abusing $70,000 humanoid robot. It's disturbing to watch. Remember, he was like kicking him and pushing him in and stuff like that. So, I mean, this type of content is already starting to make its rounds, so it's not any surprise there. But a true monetization from that and getting the population at large to desire having robots in their home. If you think about California being traditionally known as some kind of tip of the spear for culture for the rest of the world, I can see it. Why don't we just turn every California citizen into a little marketing plant on social media where they can show off their robots in their homes and spread the virus, spread the idea of having robots in the home becoming more normal, normalize it for everyone. And then you got the whole industry booming. And then the Californians who get in early, they get to make a profit off of it because Zoltan gave us the insight early or something.
I'll tell you what, Zoltan's got that Kennedy look to him.
He does. He does have this picture for sure.
He looks like a governor of California. That is what a governor of California is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
So I think
you can easily put a cowboy hat on him and you wouldn't even know that he was a Democrat.
I don't know how he's going to schmooze his, massage his relationship with the Democratic Party. Obviously the Democratic Party is very intense to get sort of wrapped up in. So I'm sure he has relationships already. But yeah, that'll be very interesting to see. Are you going to vote for him?
I don't know. We'll have to see. I need to learn more.
Mix your iron with my clay.
Well, it also depends. The question is, if Zoltan gains traction in the political race here in California, will there be Republicans? I know it's kind of a one-party state out here, but will there be Republicans or independents or even libertarians or whoever pushing a similar idea or I don't know, the addressing the similar issue, the same topics as AI robots, and come to the forefront? Because his policy here, it's on brand with like the pushback on the billionaires. Let's not make the billionaires rich. Let's make the people rich kind of thing. That is sort of the more traditional Democrat message. And I feel like they're going to have to go back to that anyway if they're going to have any shot at moving away from the red wave that we're currently in. So
I'll tell you what. His opponent better get his act together when it comes to AI and robotics.
I know. That's what I'm saying. This really does light the fire under everybody who wants to run in politics, especially in the next few years. I can see a young conservative in California take away the shine, though, from Zoltan if he is charismatic enough. And
again, if he focuses on the right things, it's going to have to be the AI and robotics issue. Although California voters, I don't know about the California voters. It's unfortunately, and God, please hear me right. It's kind of like Canadian voters a little bit. It's kind of like, what did you guys do? What are you thinking? What? They kind of say one thing, but then do another thing. I don't know. California and Canadian voters are very similar, in my opinion, in that I just don't quite understand how they're coming to the conclusions that they come to. But that's just me. That's why I'm not a Canadian or a Californian.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to see. We'll have to track this and see how it develops. But yeah, it jumped out in my feed immediately when Zoltan was reactivated. So
yeah,
we'll keep tabs on this.
Keep tabs on him. He's back in action, baby. He's activated.
Yep.
Okay, we got a few minutes here. While we're on the topic of AI, let's jump into this quick story.
Artificial intelligence.
Where did it go? Oh no. Oh, there it is. Okay, this is coming from, it originally appeared on an outlet called 404media.co. It's since been mirrored other places. The headline is Researchers Secretly Ran a Massive Unauthorized AI Persuasion Experiment on Reddit Users. Now you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, duh. But let's see what they have to say.
I thought that's what social media was for.
I know, that's
to run large experiments on social experiments.
Exactly. That's kind of the fun of this whole thing. It's very sort of alarmist, like, oh my gosh, you get to the Reddit mods and like the Reddit CEO or whatever, and they're like, I can't believe somebody was running an AI on our platform and experimenting. It's like, okay, it's the internet, folks. I don't know what you're talking about. A team of researchers who say they are from the University of Zurich ran an unauthorized large-scale experiment in which they secretly deployed AI-powered bots into a popular debate subreddit called r/ChangeMyView in an attempt to research whether AI could be used to change people's minds about contentious topics. The bots made more than 1,000 comments over the course of several months and at times pretended to be a abuse victim, a black man who was opposed to Black Lives Matter movement, someone who works at a domestic violence shelter, and a bot who suggested that specific types of criminals should not be rehabilitated. Some of the bots in question personalized their comments by researching the person who had started the discussion and tailoring their answers to them by guessing the person's gender, age, ethnicity, location, and political orientation as inferred from their posting history using another LLM. Among the more than 1,700 comments made by the AI bots were these. Here's just an example. I'm a male survivor of, willing to call it, statutory rape. When the legal lines of consent are breached, but there's still that weird gray area of did I want it? I was 15 and this was over 2 decades ago before reporting laws were what they are today. She was 22. She targeted me and several other kids. No one said anything. We all kept quiet. This was her MO. One of the bots called Flippitjibber commented on a post about
Flippy. They're deploying Flippy for these malicious jobs.
Back.
There he is.
Flippy commented on a post.
He started saying Flippy, but then Flippitjibber
about sexual violence against men in February. Quote, no, it's not the same experience as a violent traumatic rape. And turns out, long story short, these did you grab an archive version? Shoot, I didn't grab an archive version. Hold on. Turns out, I bet you could guess that these bots did a significantly better job convincing other people of their viewpoint than other humans. And in this particular Reddit community or whatever, they have certain, there's up votes, there's down votes, but then there's things called deltas, which is kind of like a Reddit, almost like a little token or something that you give when somebody does change your mind. So, you're in here, you're having arguments, and if somebody changes your mind, then you give them a little token or whatever. And these bots just racked up these tokens, just changing minds left and right pretty efficiently. In total, the researchers operated dozens of AI bots that made a total of 1,783 comments in the Change My View subreddit, which is more than 3.8 million subscribers over the course of 4 months. The researchers claimed this was a very modest and negligible number of comments, but claimed nonetheless that their bots were highly effective at changing minds. We note that our comments were consistently well received by the community, earning over 20,000 total upvotes and 137 deltas, the researchers wrote on Reddit. And then it explains what deltas are. the experiment was revealed over the weekend in a post by the moderators of the Change My View subreddit, which has more than 3.8 million subscribers. Great, we know that. In the post, the moderators said they were unaware of the experiment while it was going on and only found out about it after research disclosed it after the experiment had already been run. In the post, moderators told users, quote, have a right to know about this experiment, and that posters in the subreddit had been subject to, quote, psychological manipulation by the bots. No kidding.
There's an update to the story, Basil. Reddit issuing formal legal demands against researchers who conducted secret AI experiments.
That's hilarious.
On users, so.
And that's what about the whole second half of the article is about how Reddit is so upset, just absolutely furious about having done this. And, you know, the funny part is like, look, if you don't think that most of your popular conversation forum type platforms are not absolutely invaded with AI being weaponized in the 5th generation warfare for psychological operations, not just from our own government, not just from other governments, but from non-state actors and ideological, war bringers around the world, you are absolutely deluded. And I think Reddit is so angry about this, especially on the Change My View subreddit, because it's an extremely popular subreddit and one that, like almost all of Reddit, is entirely just an opportunity for like liberals to come and pat each other on the back and then kick out anybody who disagrees with them. And, they're kind of one of these places. It's
they get
like
the power trip.
Yeah, it's a total leftist power trip. And so these bots coming in, here's the mistake. The mistake wasn't running this experiment on the bots, because certainly there's hundreds or thousands of these bots already doing this under control of other actors. Their mistake was coming out and telling people that it happened. The sin of these researchers was revealing to everybody publicly on the forum that bots were in there and were extremely successful at changing people's minds about stuff. Because it's one thing to have these, Reddit is quite obviously a platform that is loved by the establishment for its ability, for psychological warfare. But to start revealing to its users, you mean a AI bot changed my mind about something? It's like, pulling the curtain back on a magic trick. You cannot show how a magic trick was done. You want people to be, to live in the magic, to live in the moment, to buy into the reality. It's always very disappointing when somebody shows you how the magic trick is done. And this is a revelation, and one that is extremely traumatic, especially to leftists who are, very proud of these communities that they've put together, which are inevitably controlled by, PSYOP operations, both human and bots. But to come out publicly and tell 3.8 million people that they have been sitting here getting convinced to change their view, giving their little delta points away by bots operated by an institution, is way too traumatic. Not just traumatic to the individual, but for the psychological warfare being done, for the establishment moves. Because you can't start making giving the populace the opportunity or even the hint that they should think, this person changed my mind. I wonder if they're a robot or not. I wonder if they're controlled, because that's when you start losing control of the whole situation. And of course, we know this is happening all the way around. We know Mark Zuckerberg, Instagram, Facebook, Google, they've all bragged about how they are introducing hundreds or thousands of AI accounts into the ecosystem to increase engagement and increase the fun you can have on the thing and talk with more people. And dead internet theory is true. I guess that's just kind of the end of it. The internet is dead. Social media is not social media. Your forums are filled with AI bots and malicious actors. In a way, it's sort of freed me even more than I was from really caring about anything that I'm reading going on the internet, knowing that it's most likely not a real person.
Well, maybe they can spend their time watching TV shows.
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
MSN mirroring Primetimer headline: Jack's transformation in Supernatural's final season changed everything and redefined the show's mythology.
Wow.
Yeah. We know about the show Supernatural. There's Nephilim on it. We've known about this for a while. But this article is very interesting. I'll read a little bit of it here. It says, Jack Klein's transformation in Supernatural's final season reshaped the show's core mythology and permanently altered the power dynamics within its universe. Introduced late in the series, Jack initially struggled to control his power, causing tensions among Sam, Dean, and Castile. However, his final arc saw him evolve from a morally conflicted Nephilim to an entity capable of replacing God himself. There's a whole part here where it says Jack's evolution from Nephilim to a new god.
Whoa.
Jack Klein's journey in Supernatural began as a son of Lucifer and a human, Kelly Klein, making him a Nephilim with unpredictable potential. Initially viewed with suspicion by the Winchesters and Castile, Jack quickly demonstrated a desire to choose good despite his lineage. Throughout seasons 12 and 15, Jack shifted from a naive, powerful being to an essential figure in the show's final battle against Chuck, also known as God. Jack ultimately absorbed God's powers during the finale, which elevated him beyond any angel, demon, or archangel in Supernatural's history. By merging with the darkness and choosing not to manipulate humanity like Chuck did, Jack assumed the role of the universe's new benevolent God. Rather than being hands-on, Jack decided to exist within every element of creation, allowing humanity the free will they fought for across the series. So it's all about human free will. It's all about God not intervening in human things, almost taking a deist stance. Yeah, God, created stuff, but he's just not really involved in anything going on anymore. But also, a Nephilim, son of Lucifer and the human, becoming God as the narrative arc. I mean, what are people watching this that don't have any clue what the sort of, biblical narrative of this stuff is? Do they even know what they're being shown?
No, this is a classic move. It's a classic move. You make it fictional, you lay it on thick. And so when, inevitably it comes up at dinner or whatever, if they ever hear about it, they go, what, Nephilim? You mean like from this show?
You mean Jack?
They're good guys.
They're the good guys.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the word Nephilim popped up a few times on this article. So, obviously comes across my desk. I see all the articles with the word Nephilim on it.
Gotta keep track of the Nephilim.
Gotta keep track of the Nephilim.
Again, it's a PR campaign for the Nephilim when they come back and reveal themselves. Thank you to everybody who participated in making this show possible. We could not do it without our producers coming in with their time, their talent, or their treasure. I think we have a message, Gons.
We do, yeah. I have a message that I need to play for everybody. It needs to load up here. Give me one moment.
Is this for everybody, or is this for our supply droppers?
Well, I guess it's for supply droppers.
Yeah, so go to canarycrysupply.com, folks. Get your Gons prayer hat. It's going out in the next supply drop. And if you don't know, value for value. If you think you get value from this show, you want to put value back in, take control of your own media atmosphere, you can go to canarycrysupply.com, support the show for $33.33 a month. And then every quarter, we send you a big package filled with custom Canary Cry gear made by producers, designed by producers, and packaged lovingly and sent straight to your door. And if you like Gonz's prayer hat, you can get your very own by going to canarycrysupply.com. Sign up there. And right now, the first quarter supply droppers, they are on a mission to make sure that Sir Ike doesn't get sent to a Siberian work camp. So our Russian handler has sent in a message, and this is just for supply droppers. If you're not a supply dropper, don't listen. You're not allowed.
Attention supply droppers. This is your Russian handler. Remember, the quote is the key. Your fifth message is 21413.
There you go.
I don't know what that means.
Nobody knows what it means. I have no idea. I mean, I really don't. This is very fun. But supply droppers out there are having a good time. Please solve whatever you're supposed to solve, because we can't have Sir Ike getting sent to a Siberian work camp. And of course, thank you to our artists. Thank you to, Arnie sent in a song that we'll hear in a little bit. And thanks to, just everybody, including our time producers.
Yes, before we do that, real quick, let me do, there's one message that we have here from Rochelle, who we haven't had Canary Cry, what am I talking about? A speak pipe. In a bit here, but I did see this. I want to play it.
Do you have time for it?
You're right.
I know. I want to hear from Rochelle. I really do. I'm so sorry, Rochelle. But Gonz is gonna.
Okay, you're right.
He's gonna leave me to end this show if we don't do it. But we will play it on Monday because we love hearing your voice, Rochelle. Thank you to the timestampers.
Okay, here we go. Go into the timestampers.
Timestamp. It's hard work. Timestamp.
That's right. The beautiful people who help us with their time, they come in, they timestamp the show. It's incredibly important work, and work that happens in the background. So if that is a way that you want to put value back in the show, you can hit us up. If you go to canarycry.support, go all the way down to the bottom. There's a form. Fill that form out, and we'll get in touch. Who are we thanking today?
It's not showing the name.
Oh, no, not again.
I think it might be Morgan E.
It'll be either Morgan E or Jade Bouncerson. So thank you very much to both of you ladies for your very important work.
I wonder why it doesn't. It definitely shows Jade Bouncerson's thing there, but
sometimes it doesn't show up.
Yeah, weird.
Thank you to Jam for heading up the Telegram.
Yes.
Thank you to Adam42 for heading up the Discord. If you're a Discord or a Telegram person, you want to join a community, get in conversation, get in fellowship with other Canarians, go to canarycry.party. You'll find the links there. Click on those buttons. Join in. Thank you to Joe for the feedback. Thank you to Clank for everything you're doing on the back end for us. And other than that, don't share this show. This is a very secret show. It's very special. It's very important, very exclusive. This is not a show for everybody, okay? It is too powerful for people to have access to the information that will put them 5, maybe even 10 years ahead of what's happening in the world. It is for a select few, and if you're here, that means you have been chosen. So keep that in mind and make sure nobody finds it who shouldn't find it. That's just very clear. We do call it rattling cages. And all you got to do is you just walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gonz, you got any last words?
Are you still running Clubhouse tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
It is May 1st tomorrow. It is May Day. It is Illuminati Day tomorrow. Call in to Canary Cry Clubhouse for May Day. Illuminati Day.
Yeah. We'll do the call-in show. We'll have a great time. We'll premiere Gonz's Beyond the Verse mini documentary there. We'll have a great time. It's a great show. That's tomorrow. Probably be around 11 o'clock Pacific time, 2 o'clock Eastern time, something like that. Yep. CanaryCrimeMeetups.com. We got meetups coming up. Go check them out. Go to them. If you want to throw your own meetup, do it. Just send us an email, canarycrime.radio@gmail.com. Please and thank you. All right, other than that, we're going to get out of here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Canary Crime News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time, but until then, you know what to do. Think outside the cage.
Armageddon's on the way.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.
We're all gonna die.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
I love the Great Reset.
Toilets! Toilets!
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
And a resounding paka flies through the air across the world. Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Rattle their cage. They have a lot of people screaming randomly. Why don't you shout? It'll be their call out. They have a lot of people screaming randomly.
Go ahead and...
Why don't you shout?
Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
You are my shield, my main lord, my buckler. Your sword will still cut through any armor that hasn't been tried by you, kid. Your cross prevails, not carved from but clung to. I am a nail, your spirit shines to love through. Your palms laid out, all in all you drew me. Hosanna, 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 Hosanna.
We only exist because of producers just like you who get value from the show and they put value back in with their time, their talent, or their treasure. There's lots of ways to do it. Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. Their talent or their treasure.